Good evening. I would like to call to order the Keizer City Council in regular session. It is Tuesday, February 21st, 2023, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councillor Reed.
Here.
Councillor Hessman.
He is excused this evening.
Thank you. Councillor Kohler.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Council President Starr.
Here.
Councillor Duran.
Here.
Councillor Cross.
Here.
And Youth Councillor Sarmiento.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. If you are able, I invite you to rise, and would you please all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all very much. With the indulgence of the City Council, I would like to take item 8A and move it up to the first under committee reports to take the annual report from the West Keizer Neighbors Association and the objection to the change in the agenda. All right, hearing none, we will go to the West Keizer Neighbors Association and then to our regular committee reports, if that's all right with you. All right.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Rhonda Rich. I live in Keizer, and I'm president of the West Keizer Neighborhood Association. And I'm going to give a condensed form of what you got in your packet. And this is really for the benefit of people who are watching, too, to know what we've been doing throughout the year and hopefully encourage people to come to our meetings and the other neighborhood association meetings. The West Keizer Neighborhood Association is a neighborhood association recognized by the City of Keizer that serves over 3,000 households in West Keizer. Its boundaries extend north to Chamawa Road, east to River Road, south to the Keizer city limits, and west to the Willamette River. The association, led by 7 board members, serves the West Keizer residents by abiding by its mission statement. Our general meetings are held on the second Thursday of each month, except for June, July, August, and December. Meetings are attended by approximately 20 to 25 people. We meet at the City Hall, and thanks to Lily Vaughn and Tracy Davis for providing us very nice accommodations here, and to all of you for letting us meet here. It's really comfortable. Board meetings are held the first Thursday of the month of our general meetings, and we meet at various board members' homes. Our meetings are publicized by Carolyn Homan and Carol Phipps through, well, actually now with Chris Adams as vice president, through email. We have approximately 180 members on the email. The city website, the Chamber of Commerce calendar, Facebook, and the website, www.westkeizerna.org. Our website manager is Barbara Smith-Henke. We're very fortunate to have. All meeting minutes and general information can be found on the website. Informational flyers are provided at West Keizer Parks and at the school. And I'm sorry, I was going to pass out these flyers. I must have slipped out in the car. I think most of you have them, but I know there's a few new or council members, and I'll get those to you, the brochures. Our yard signs are posted the weekend before our meetings, thanks to Art Maurer and Dennis Phipps. The complete 2022 annual report can be found through a link on the city's website and the WICNA website. I'm going to give you a synopsis of that report. The elections were held at the 2022 West Keizer Neighborhood Association annual meeting last January. Carol Dorfler was elected president. I was vice president. Carol Homan was secretary, and she's doing that for life. And directors, Carol Phipps, Art Maurer, Rob Witters, and Gary Blake. In April, Carol Dorfler had to resign due to health issues. So according to the bylaws, I became president, and Carol Phipps was appointed by the board as vice president. Chris Adams was appointed to the open board position, completing the 7-member board. I would like to publicly recognize and thank the following people who have given of their time to come and share information at the general meetings. Mayor Clark, presenting the state of the city and is a frequent attendee. Counselor Laura Reed and past Counselor Elizabeth Smith, they were our liaisons to the City Council. They provided council representation at every monthly meeting and shared ideas. Shane Witham, Planning Director for Keizer, talked about changes being made to Keizer development and zoning codes in order to comply with 2 state laws that address middle housing. Jenny Ammon, Environmental Education Coordinator for Keizer, presented information on the city water sources and water quality to ensure a safe public water supply. Andrew Conser, Cummings Elementary Principal, he's updated us on the school's events, including the year's focus on rebuilding community. And he is very supportive of keeping the grounds around the school looking really nice, so that really is a plus for the neighborhood. Eric Bandonas, Probation Parole Deputy of Marion County Sheriff's Department, visits the meetings quarterly to give his report and share information from the Keizer Police Department. Mary Jo Emmett, she's a member of John Knox Presbyterian Church, and she reported on the community garden, which is another gem in our neighborhood. And BJ Toey and John Goodyear presented the Yes for Keizer Public Library campaign. The highlights of the year 2022 are we continued with our newsletter. We started that, I think it was in 2021. We call it WICNA Today, and it's compiled by Carol Phipps, Carolyn Homan, and Rob Witters. They published a March, July, and December issue. Looks very professional and a lot of good information that can be found on our website. Cummings School Beautification, that's led by Carol Phipps. And Carol was assisted by Kathy Lincoln and Carolyn Homan last year. They planted flowers under the reader board, and they keep that up. The spring's coming up, and that's going to be planted soon. They maintain the flower pots around the school entrances, and in September, we participated in the school playground work day to spread wood chips in preparation for the school's annual jogathon. The liaison to the Keizer Community Library Board, and she's on the board, is Chris Adams. And she also manages our little library at the corners Shoreline and Raffel, and she was assisted last year by Carol Phipps. And the WICNA board members showed support of the community library, achieving funding to become the Keizer Public Library at several city council meetings. Under parks, the master plan for parks, we supported the parks master plan, specifically as it related to improving and maintaining Palmacia Park as providing a natural experience for viewing wildlife in the Willamette River. WICNA had several cleanup days starting in May to remove ivy and debris from the picnic area. Wood chips from the tree limbing project were spread around the picnic area and viewing bench. In September, WICNA hosted a celebration of the new and improved park during the City Council's park tour. And thanks to collaboration with Parks Division Manager Robert Johnson, Parks Board Member Matt Lawyer, Councilor Laura Reed, and the West Keizer Neighborhood Board members Carolyn Dennis Phipps, Gary Blake, Carolyn Homan, and myself. Keizer Rapids Park Turf Fields project was supported by WICNA. WICNA was invited to participate by City Manager Adam Brown in the planning of the project. Rhonda, Carolyn, or myself, Carolyn and Carol attended several meetings advocating for adequate parking for park events to deter park users parking in the neighborhood, lighting of the fields to have a minimal impact on the surrounding houses, and a park-like buffer between the fields and homes for daytime picnicking and aesthetics. We support our West Keizer parks. We participated in Trashy Tuesday at Wallace House Park in September. Carolyn Dennis Phipps participated in that, collected 151 pounds of trash and put it where it belonged. Palmacia Park, Gary Blake gives support for weekly debris pickup. He was over there just yesterday. Participated in the Eagle Scout Trail building project, which is a great addition to that park. Wallace House Park Fall Maintenance Project, organized by Keizer Rotary Satellite Club and the Claggett Creek Watershed Council, basically Matt Lawyer, but many members participated. We collect food for the Keizer Community Food Bank. Dennis Phipps, who's here, does the collection. He goes to Bimart and Copper Creek Mercantile, and they host food barrels for us, and we're going to be sending them a thank you. And we just added Keizer Fire District building on Chamorro Road. We've collected last year 1,871 pounds of food and $410 cash. Lastly, the traffic blitz was initiated by Carol Dorfler at the end of 2021. This was in response to members' concerns voiced at meetings and on Nextdoor about speeding and noisy vehicles. We kicked off the blitz in January with a door-to-door campaign, inviting 300 households on high-traffic streets to attend our January and February meetings. In January, comments were recorded and shared with Chief Tig. In response, Chief Tig suggested a speed table at the light in Cummings Crosswalk by Cummings Elementary School, as well as making the intersection of Dearborn and Shoreline a four-way stop. These requests were presented at the February Traffic Safety Bikeways Committee meeting and submitted to Public Works Director Bill Lawyer in April. In September, the City Council approved installation of both a speed table on Cummings and a flashing speed limit signs on Shoreline. The flashing signs were installed about a month ago and have been reported by several members to be effective. The speed table is being engineered, and thank you all for your support on that, and we'll be following up with the neighbors on that street too to give you some feedback. Events coordinated with other groups and neighborhood associations, the Bike Skills event in May, which Hirsch Sangster organized, and Chris Adams and Carolyn Homan attended. The Candidate Forum in October, where we hosted, again, the Northwest Keizer Neighborhood Association led that, hosting the state, county, and city candidates, and the library ballot measure in the State of the City by Mayor Clark is coming up on March 9th. So that wasn't last year, but you did it last year, but that's coming up, and we want to make sure everybody knows about that. 2 board members were recognized in the Keizer Times as Volunteer of the Week, Chris Adams in May and myself in November. So the 2023 board was elected in January. Vice President Chris Adams is here. And Chris is the contact person for Cummings Elementary School. We're going to be attending the PTA meetings to see if there's anything more that we can do to help out the school. And Carolyn and myself are also attend those meetings. And then Secretary Carolyn Homan, and I have to give her the credit for this this report that you did. She's amazing. So Carolyn, she's also involved on a lot of the committees, and she and Chris together go to the Keizer United meetings. Carol Phipps, and she's back there with Dennis, her husband, does the food barrels. And they both are the contact people for Parks Board. And Gary Blake is also on that, goes to those meetings. Art Maurer, he's over here. And he does our signs along with Dennis, putting those out, but he's also this year going to be attending the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee meetings. And Rob Witters, back here, he's going to be the main contact person for the Traffic Safety Bikeways Committee and also for the Planning Commission meetings. We're adding that to our agenda this year to get more involved with that. So you'll be seeing us, Shane. Okay, and Gary Blake. And he's on the Planning Commission meeting group, and he's, I said, Parks Advisory, and just been active for years. So the WICNA will continue this year with the following goals. We try to have timely topics that are of interest to West Keizer residents and solicit input from members about issues that affect them. We work to improve the quality of life for the residents of West Keizer by working with City Council, city staff, and city advisory groups, committees, and commissions. We are supportive of our local pools and parks, River Road businesses, and our neighborhood school, Cummings Elementary. Our meetings and activities are aimed at encouraging connections among neighbors in the community. We want to thank the City Council for your support from the general fund budget and use of the Civic Center meeting room. We now request that you extend recognition for the West Keizer Neighborhood Association for the year 2023. Sorry it went so long, but it's a lot of good stuff.
That's the
I'm gonna share
abbreviated
it.
version.
Yeah.
We did read it in our packets, and thank you for the very thorough report in there. And I do have this, I don't know if they can get it on camera,
Oh, okay.
but I actually have this in my briefcase. There it is. For the West Keizer Neighborhood Association. It's a beautiful brochure. The pictures tell the story as well as well-placed words, but it really shows a lot of the highlights in our neighborhood on the west side of River Road. So really appreciate the work that goes into this and the other outreach. Any questions for Rhonda or the board from the West Keizer Neighborhood Association? Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also just wanted to, this was in your report, but I just wanted to also highlight the fact that you've been working very well with the other neighborhood associations and mentoring them in terms of not only just showing how a neighborhood association can work, but also just in the collaboration of various events and so forth. And we just really appreciate your expertise in that area, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm glad to see it.
We are too, and the ongoing involvement and adaptability through all of the different issues that we continue to grapple with as, nothing is static. And I've been really gratified to watch West Keizer continue to engage in what's coming, what's next, and also growing and helping other neighborhood associations find their space and their place within each of their unique neighborhoods. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Council President Starr, let's put a motion on the table for our neighborhood association.
So I move to accept the annual report of the West Keizer Neighborhood Association and extend their recognition through 2023.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council accept the report of the West Keizer Neighborhood Association and extend the recognition for 2023. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. I've got a very enthusiastic thumbs up from folks out here. Motion passes unanimously with one absent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to continue with our committee reports, and we'll go to the oft-referred to Matt Lawyer, who'll be wearing his Planning Commission hat, but probably will have something about the upcoming cleanup that's going to happen at the Civic Center. I imagine, I think, I suppose.
Yeah, I think I'll probably fake that one, but since I don't have notes on it. But good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, staff. For the record, Matt Lawyer, Keizer Planning Commission. We met on February 8th, and my colleagues approved to have myself as the chair and Jeremy Grentz as the vice chair again this year. Very excited for that opportunity and honor to work with our planning commission, and also I get to have really good conversations with Shane, which is just an added bonus. He's not looking at me. That's good. No, we had Rhonda Rich came in, the president of West Keizer Neighborhood Association, introduced Rob Witters, who's going to be coming and visiting our meetings, which is great. He already left, so I can't pick on him too much, but we have fun meetings sometimes, I think. I know we're going to be talking about ADUs again at some point, which will be just absolutely riveting.
Just don't bring up signs, okay?
I did not see that sign. So this was kind of a check-in meeting. We actually kind of needed to get the annual election over, which is, I think, one of the big reasons we had the meeting. But Shane kind of went through and talked about our 2023 work plan. And we went through a list of accomplishments that we had in 2022, which, I mean, these notes are actually really kind of cute because they're about a page and a paragraph and a half, but I'm going to read the actual accomplishments that we, and the royal we in this, I'm going to say Shane and Dina and City Attorney Johnson, these were some massive undertakings, and I know that you all got to be part of it in terms of ratifying the Planning Commission's recommendations, but huge work on House Bill 2001 and Senate Bill 458. To underscore the importance of that, I don't think is possible in this setting, but it was a tremendous amount of work done by Shane and by the consultants and the Planning Commission, and we had a lot of meetings on it. Would be 8 total, I think, throughout the course of the year. And, you know, in the end of it, I think what we came out with was a really good recommendation that'll provide some opportunities for some middle housing that we've already started to kind of see happen here in Keizer. We had the stormwater management text amendment to section 2.306, which I think was our fastest ever text amendment meeting. Due in large part to the excellent preparation by our Public Works Director and our Planning Director, so thank you for that. I mean, you know, I haven't been here for a long time. Like, we've got new people up here. This is great. I miss you guys. We talked a little bit about the climate-friendly and equitable communities rule. Basically, what that was DLCD came in and said, hey, this is what you did to you. Congratulations, carry on. And then that's Matt Lawyer's personal narrative, not representative of the Planning Commission. And then we talked about some parking reform. And then we went through some really good updates on the River Cherry Overlay District and some of the developments that have happened since the implementation of that. And if you haven't seen that presentation and you're really, like, this isn't something you look at when you're bored. It's actually really fascinating stuff. And Shane did a really good job, him and Dina, of putting that together. So if you haven't seen that, get it from Shane. It's really good, actually, the RCOD implementation and the projects that have been done. All right, moving forward. So we've looked at some kind of low-hanging fruit issues. City Attorney Johnson has identified a few things that are sort of Scrivener errors and things like that. So we'll be coming soon with text amendments on those so we can get those fixed. And then we're going to be possibly, as I mentioned, looking at ADUs, which is, it's just exciting to me. I can't think of anything I'd rather revisit. Yeah, we're going to be looking at a bunch of other things, possibly diving back into the, I want to use an acronym, but I'm not going to, Housing Needs Analysis, Buildable Lands Inventory. And then also maybe looking at our transportation system plan, which is actually kind of cool. We will potentially be discussing additional opportunity for employment lands and other urban growth boundary related issues related to employment lands. We are not, the Planning Commission is not recommending looking at anything specifically related to the climate friendly and equitable communities rules, mostly because there's some legislation out there, but also because there's existing lawsuits. And frankly, I think that our staff has done a really good job of reacting to things, and we don't want to react and then have to react again if the rules end up changing. So I think that's enough on that one. All right, Councilor Duran always had a very long report as usual. Talked a little bit about the commuter line train. That'll be interesting. And yeah, I think that's it. A lot of generalities. I apologize. It's been a long time. I'm very excited to see you all again. It's been a while. So I'll entertain any questions, and then I'm going to attempt to talk about the cleanup project. I'm going to get the date wrong though. So
March 11th. Yeah, we have it on the calendar. It's March 11th. Great. Anything on the Planning Commission, and what are we looking at on accessory dwelling units?
I think it's specifically like how and where the unit exists in relation to a garage.
Oh, like
I
a
can't believe I remember that.
ADU over garage or something?
Yeah, so we've had, the way the language is structured in the code, there's some limiting factors that as developers and property owners have come in, there's been some challenges to put an ADU unit on top of like an existing detached garage building, which is sort of exactly the intent of allowing them. So it's one of those where, I mean, Mr. Lawyer likes to poke fun at the ADU standards because we did not change them 6 times like he will say, but there were,
5.
We had to come back to the well on that one a few times because the state did change some rules on us, like not once, but twice. So I'd promised him we'd never bring it back again, and I lied, because now that we've dealt with a few builders who, like, we had a really great example in Keizer where they wanted to put it over top of a garage, but based on our square foot limitations and some other things, they couldn't. But what they could do is build a separate unit on the ground right next to it. And they did, and it turned out great, and it looks really nice, but it wasn't what they originally wanted to do, and it wasn't necessarily what we thought we originally wanted to do, but we told them, yeah, you can wait, and we can try to get this thing moved and fixed. So that's why it's in there. We're gonna revisit it with the Planning Commission in its whole to make sure we're hitting the spots we're supposed to.
So you're evolving as you get more information. Is that better?
I think that sounds right.
Something like that, yeah. Well, we keep on innovating, and people keep coming in with great ideas. Okay, so we can watch for that to come to before us at some point later this year. Fantastic. Any questions for Mr. Lawyer on the Planning Commission report? Y'all are going to be busy.
Always are.
All right,
You said March 11th?
March
Yeah, great.
11th.
So March 11th is, I believe, the annual Civic Center cleanup. It's a Keizer Rotary project. Clyde Creek Watershed Council does participate in that. On the Friday before is always the kind of initial legwork. A bunch of volunteers come out with power tools and we do all the trimming, get things all ready to go. Historically, actually, it's been really cool. The last 2 years, we've had Chief and Tim out there in the dumpster. So if for no other reason, come and check that out because they work really, 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 really hard for like the whole entire day. Negative, Chief. No, but it's a great time. About 30 yards of material we clean up out there. We've been doing this. I think this is the 13th or 14th year. And it's just a really good event. We'll be getting some information out there soon on it. It usually kicks off about 9 o'clock in the morning or so and runs till about 11 or noon. And many hands make light work. Over the last couple of years, we've seen the numbers actually kind of go down a little bit, which is interesting because it actually makes managing the people a little easier at the outset, but then the numbers die off fairly quickly and then we're kind of left with a bunch. And so if you're interested, please reach out to either myself or Mark Callier. Let us know, and we'd love to have people come out. We always appreciate the city of Keizer helping sponsor this. Of course, they get a lot in return on it. But yeah, it's a great project and really good opportunity to get out there and just spend a nice Saturday doing some great work. So.
Yep, and you have cookies.
Yeah, we usually have cookies and or beverages of some kind, usually a bunch of water, and sometimes there's tea and hot chocolate or whatever. But a couple years ago, we brought food, which was a good idea, except for once the food got started, the work went stop.
Sorry.
I'm not mad. It's just reality, Counselor
It was
Kohler.
burgers and hot dogs.
That's right. But the work was pretty much done. So please, if you're interested, come out. I know Counselor Reed, you're out there almost every year. Mayor Clark, you're there. Counselor Kohler, Counselor Starr, you've been there. Counselor Duran, I know you've popped by. Counselor Cross, we'll see you this year. It's going to be great.
Yes.
Chief and Tim might need some help. Counselor Duran.
All right. Sounds like a good time will be had by all.
Yep, all right.
All right. Thank you much. It's on the calendar. Okay. Speaking of cleanup and beautiful spaces, let's talk parks. Lisa Sajeka.
Hello, Madam Mayor, councilors, staff. I'm pinch hitting again this time for a different Parks member who was unable to give the Parks report. We met last Tuesday on Oregon's birthday to talk about our lovely parks. And it was a short meeting with plenty of heart-shaped treats. Most of the parks seem to have an ongoing graffiti problem. Several of the parks have ongoing problems with people leaving the parking area and driving in green spaces, which tears up the turf and just causes a lot of problems for Public Works. We would like to encourage people to stop doing that. We talked about our grant funds. We have $9,400 left in grant money that needs to be completely used by the end of June. So if anybody out there watching or anybody who's left in the audience has an idea for a project, please bring it to Parks. We will, try to get that approved, and then we need to get it completed by the end of June. The other thing that we need is we need people who are willing to volunteer to build picnic tables. So we're low on picnic tables. In order for us to get more, we need somebody to volunteer or a number of people to volunteer to build them. And then, one last thing. April 22nd, Earth Day, they're going to be doing some projects out at Keizer Rapids. It's a big volunteer opportunity. I don't have a lot of details, but Jenny from the Environmental Educational here was brought up as the point person or the contact person. And there's going to be more information coming. It's in April, so just put that on your calendar. And it was an 18-minute meeting, so I guess a 3-minute summation works well. It's a factor. Any questions?
I'm gonna start at the end and come down this way.
Do you think you have a set date for when you would want people to help you building picnic tables?
Okay. Picnic tables are really useful in the summer, so if people could, sooner is better. And I don't know if that is something that we could use, if that's a grant type of opportunity, or if Public Works has the materials and people can put them together. So that was from Robert.
I'll try reaching out to students in McNary,
Okay.
especially geometry and construction, to see
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're available.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, perfect.
that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah. So we have, just to follow up on that question, we have the materials that they just have to be put together?
We will have the materials
You
for
will
them
have,
to put them together if we don't have them already.
okay. Sounds like a great partnership there. Great idea. Counselor Reed?
Nothing.
Okay. Counselor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. April 22nd is Earth Day.
Yes.
And that's when Jenny was talking about it. We also talked about that at the Clyde Creek Watershed Council meeting on the 9th. And that's going to be in conjunction with Soggy Day in the Park.
Yes.
And so those two events will come together on the 22nd. So there'll be lots of stuff going on in the
Yep.
park. The bouncy house, we're planning on getting that put together again. So it should be a fun day at Keizer Rapids Park on April 22nd.
Lots of opportunities.
That is always fun. And by calling it Soggy Day at the Park, we get the rain gremlins to go, I'm not going to show up, showed you. And it works. Okay. Any other questions on the parks? Thank you for bringing up the vandalism issue, and I'm going to look to Mr. Lawyer. The Clyde Creek Park got tagged badly, and a very alert resident next door sent us the pictures. Can you give us an update on that? And
I don't honestly know if staff was able to get that all cleaned up today. They had confined space training for the better part of the morning. So if they didn't finish it today, they'll be out there in the morning to finish it up, along with any other graffiti and the rest of the park system that showed up over the weekend. I'm not aware of any others, but there probably is more out there.
okay. And I'm with you, Lisa. That's got to stop. And this idea that you drive across turf, I don't know what possesses somebody's brain to go to sleep enough where that seems like a good idea. There's no good idea in that one. It's just sheer destruction, so.
Can't wait to get the cameras.
Yeah, the cameras, because once we do find out who they're doing, they can be out there replanting those grass blades one by one to learn to respect them. Yeah, it's frustrating, but thank you. for the work of the Parks Board, and we'll see if we can get some ideas. Oh, one follow-up, and one more thing. Do we have a list of some small projects? We just mentioned the picnic tables that might be kind of food for thought for people who want to do grants, things that we know we would like to have done in the parks, where somebody can say, I can do that, and then put a grant together for it, kind of like a conversation starter or something like that?
We don't have a list developed, but I know Robert's reaching out to people all the time and, looking for input and looking for volunteers. We've got some bike racks that we're going to be placing at Keizer Rapids. Slabs and setting those is one thing that we're waiting that we could use it. That would be a good grant project for somebody.
Okay. Is that the one in conjunction with CTEC?
Yes, it
Okay.
is. I'm always waiting for
Career
them to.
Technical Education Center, for those who are counting acronyms.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to get back to me and let me know when they'll be ready for pickup.
Fabulous. Counselor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I attended the Parks Board meeting for Councilor Duran on Valentine's Day. Yes, Oregon's birthday. But Mr. Johnson indicated that he had 3 or 4 ready-to-go projects. If somebody's interested in doing them, you might contact Mr. Johnson.
Can we publish them? Put them out there like, hey, would you like to take on this project? I mean, just to stimulate people's enthusiasm as they're sitting there watching it snow one more time, going, I'm so done with this.
Sure, we can put that out. We've been advertising the grant program regularly over the last few weeks through the website and social media. I don't know that it's generated a lot of response, but we can certainly add some ideas
Yeah.
to the next blast we send out.
Yeah, that would spark the imagination or give somebody an idea where to start. So, fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's all I have for committee reports. Is there anyone else here who signed up or came to report on a committee before I go to public testimony? Okay, let's go to public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have one public hearing scheduled for this evening. That is the utility service utilizing the public rights-of-way and communications license law. So if you're here for that, stand by. So I don't have anybody signed up. Is there anyone who'd like to address the council this evening? All right, we will move on then to the public hearing. And let me go to my notes here. So this is item 7A, which is, I'm going to open public hearing for the utility service utilizing the public rights-of-way and communications license law. Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. This matter came for hearing tonight, and as you can see by the staff report, after having a lot of comments from the utilities and talking to our consultant and outside counsel, we felt it was appropriate to continue the public hearing. That's the recommendation of council. If there's anyone here for the hearing, since it was noticed, we do allow testimony tonight, but we would suggest that you come on March 20, if the council is willing, the date that we would continue the hearing for. As background information, as you can see in the staff report, and some of you were on the council at the time, a little over a year ago, council directed us to, after meeting with outside counsel and myself in a work session, to move towards what's called a code model or ordinance model rather than a franchise model, so that all the utilities are on a level playing field. We've gotten a bit of pushback, as we expected. It's been pretty cordial. The city manager and I met with Salem Electric last week and had a good meeting. Unlike PGE, Salem Electric simply is not used to the code model, so they have concerns, obviously, because they haven't had to do it. Since they're so small, they don't have that many jurisdictions. PGE is used to it, and we're working through those with our consultant and outside counsel. I was going to send you, and I will send you in advance, the draft ordinances, but it turned out it would make no sense to send you the current draft because you'd have to just start over. So it's being changed with input from, as I said, the utilities and working with our consultant and outside counsel. So the recommendation is to, if there is any testimony, take that tonight and then continue the hearing to March 20. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions on the recommendation to continue the hearing? Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would really appreciate if we could perhaps get the minutes from the previous work session that was a year ago where we first talked about this, just so we can kind of have both perspectives represented as we go into that.
Right, and
that
I had
meeting.
sent that to Counselor Husband and Cross since they were new and didn't think about sending it again to you folks. Actually, it wasn't the minutes, but I can add that to it as the minutes plus a couple of memoranda from that work session.
That would be
And
very
I'll be glad
helpful.
to send that to you.
Yep, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, that was so last year.
That was, it was over a year ago. Yeah.
My memory is not that great.
We have I have limited random access memory.
Yes.
Mr. Wood, did you want to comment? Okay. Any other comments or questions? I do not have anybody signed up this evening on the sign-up sheet. Is there anyone here who would like to address the council on this issue at this time? The floor is open. All right, seeing none, Council President Starr.
I move the hearing on utility service utilizing the public rights-of-way and communications license law be continued to March 20th, 2023.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council move the hearing on utility service utilizing the public rights-of-way and communications license law be continued to March 20, 2023. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with one absent, that's Hussman. And yes, thank you for resending that to get this back to top of mind. That takes us to administrative action. We have already done item 8A, which was the West Keizer Neighborhood Association. That takes us then to item 8B, which is the Community Center Fee Waiver, Keizer Chamber of Commerce Luncheon State of the City Address. Ms. Davis.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. The Keizer Chamber of Commerce has requested a waiver of the rental fees for the chamber luncheon in March. The registration fee, the fees for the rental, are a total of $545. That's for equipment and the room rental for 4 hours. Included in the rental fee is a staffing cost of $120. So we're recommending that you waive the rental fees and waive the deposit, but charge for hard costs of staffing. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
All right, any questions on the request or staff report? And I got a good question earlier from Councilor Reed about whether or not people have to pay to attend. Attendance is free and open to the public. What people are asked to pay for, if they so choose, is for lunch. So that there is a charge for that, but that is between the chamber and the caterer who will be there for that event. But actually just attending, there is no charge. So thank you for asking that question.
Thank you.
And I don't remember if it's going to be broadcast or not. I'm going to have to ask.
Not that I have heard.
Okay. I'm sure somebody will have a Facebook Live or something going on. All right. With that, Council President Starr.
I move the City Council approve the requested waiver of the community center rental fees, including the security deposit and charge of $120 for staffing fees for the March 14th, 2023 Chamber of Commerce Luncheon and State of the City Address.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council approve the requested waiver of the community center rental fees, including the security deposit and charge $120 for staffing fees for the March 14, 2023 Chamber of Commerce Luncheon State of the City Address. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously when absent, as Hussman. And I'll work on my speech to make it worth it. All right, item 8C, which is the resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a personal services agreement with Buffalo Cloud Consulting LLC for consulting services. Mr. Brown, Mr. Wood.
Madam Mayor, City Council, at the November 3rd, 2022 Community Diversity Engagement Committee meeting, the committee made a motion to direct staff to come back to City Council and request that a consultant be retained to assist the committee in developing a work plan for the coming year. After that initial motion, staff went out and identified several consultants in the area worked through the process of consulting with a few of them, received a proposal from one of them. That proposal is part of what we're moving forward, hoping to move forward with today. At the November committee meeting, really the driving forces we are at a transition point. The committee experienced significant turnover during the year, and so that was one of the primary drivers for us to come up with a request, the committee to come up with a request to move forward and request a consultant. At the January committee meeting, when the new committee chair was elected again, the motion was brought forward again. So the motion is before you. We do have several alternatives. We could move forward with the current proposal that we have. We could take no action tonight, and the committee will continue to operate without a facilitator. Or we could recommend an alternate service provider, and that would require us to go back out and continue to solicit more proposals. So with that, the initial proposal that we do have before us is approximately $24,000, and that will include work that will get us to a work plan for the next fiscal year. In addition to providing several opportunities to engage with the committee, as well as several opportunities to engage with the council if you so choose. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you if you have any additional questions.
So I have one before we go to the city council. Unfortunately, the proposal and the contract were not in the packet. We have not had the chance to review it. It was sent to us late this afternoon. I didn't have a moment to even sit down and read it. So I've got a problem being able to authorize a contract that I haven't been able to read. And I'm sorry that I didn't pick up on that over the weekend. I had scanned it quickly, and I had planned to go back and read it because I knew I had time carved out today to do that this morning. That's when I asked for it to be sent. So I'm kind of stuck. I don't have anything to go on other than the resolution. And I would really like a chance to read it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Mr. Brown?
I think if you wanted to motion to table it till the next meeting, we could do that.
When is the next CEDC meeting?
First Thursday of the month.
And our council meeting is after that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Councilor Reed?
thank you, Madam Mayor. So Buffalo Consulting, representatives of Buffalo Consulting did join us for the January meeting to kind of see if it's a good fit. And anyway, they participated in that meeting and gave us a taste of what they could do in terms of facilitating. And I know that it's a different thing than, being able to see the full contract. But I just wanted to make that clear that we've I'll call it auditioned them in terms of what they can offer. And I at least was impressed with what they could offer, and it was a really good combination of listening and contributing to the discussion, particularly surrounding the 40th birthday party. And anyway, they were very responsive to what we needed and were clear about what they could offer. So I was impressed with what they brought to the table in January. I don't know if we could get a second kind of situation like that where they came even without a contract. I don't know if we could persuade them to do that or not. We have other things that we can talk about on that meeting. Mr. Witham's got some things that he would like to be discussing on that too. So anyway, that's just kind of where we are in terms of the committee.
I'm stuck.
And so, yeah. My other point with this is, yes, this consultant is for this committee, but the nature of the committee being a community diversity engagement sort of committee, it crosses lots of boundaries, not just this committee. So it's good for the city, it's good for citizens. And so just in terms of the value, I wanted to just put that out there as well.
And I was reading the basic things it's going to cover. the workshops, the equity engagement plan, things like that, very much outward reaching, which is what we've been asking for, help us to do that work. I need to see I need to see it in writing. So that's where I'm stuck. Councilor Cross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I actually have been going over the notes for the Community Diversity Committee meeting. That's a big mouthful. And I really love all the work they've done. I know that Councilor President Starr and Councilor Reed have done a lot of work. There's just a couple of things that just don't really sit well with me on this. One being $24,000 for business that's not even in the Salem-Keizer area. Like, it's not even in our community. Like, we're having someone from Lake Oswego telling us, Keizer, how to deal with things. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. If you read the proposal, only 2 of those are in person, 4 are Zoom, 2 are with city council. $24,000 is a lot of money, like a lot of money. There's a lot of underserved kids and a lot of underserved people in our community that can be taken care of. I just feel like there's a lot more wants and needs for Keizer than, it just doesn't feel right. And I would absolutely vote no on this. Thank you.
So at this point, because we don't have it in front of us to be able to get into the nuts and bolts, make recommendation on the details going back, I'm glad, and it is in our inboxes now. I just haven't had a chance to open it. So I would ask City Council to consider tabling this, so we do have a chance to read it over. If Councilor Starr is willing, I'm willing to put on the motion on the table if Councilor Starr would prefer not to.
Okay.
Okay.
I motion that the city council table the resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a personal services agreement with Buffalo Cloud Consulting, LLC for consulting services until the next city council meeting, which I don't know what date that is, but it's March 6th.
March 6th.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council table the resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a personal services agreement with Buffalo Cloud Consulting LLC for consulting services until City Council regular session on March 6, 2023. Any further discussion? Mr. Johnson.
Just a parliamentary nerd kind of thing, sorry about that. I'm assuming what you mean is you're moving to continue the matter to a date certain, the next meeting, rather than tabling. Tabling has a specific meaning that requires an additional vote.
Yes.
So I just wanted to double check that.
Does the mover accept the change?
Yes.
Okay,
Does
thank
the
you.
second accept the change?
Yes.
Okay, the language is modified as indicated by our city attorney. Thank you very much. I didn't major in Robert's Rules of Order, so I really appreciate that. Okay, anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. One absent, that's Hussman. Thank you very much. Okay, that takes us then to our consent calendar. Council President Starr, would you please read the items on tonight's consent calendar?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight's consent calendar is item A, resolution authorizing the city manager to sign engineering services contract with AKS Engineering and Forestry LLC. Item B, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into agenda and meeting management software agreement with Civic Plus. And item C, approval of the February 6, 2023 regular session minutes.
Thank you very much. Are there any polls? Okay, no polls. Council President Starr.
I move that the Keizer City Council adopt the consent calendar, items A, B, and C.
Second?
The consent calendar, items A, B, and C, has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. One absent, Hussman. That takes us to other business. This time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. City manager, I believe we have one item of other business that's been brought before us.
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, we do have an item for collective bargaining to address a recent court case and have our Human Resource Director, Ms. Davina, cover it.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor and Council, as per information previously provided and the material in front of you, we do have knowledge of a Home Depot case that was recently decided, which resulted in clarification to all Oregon employers that the practice of rounding when it comes to looking at timesheets and paying employees is no longer allowed. We do have a collective bargaining agreement that specifically references rounding, and we have documentation in there that essentially splits the amount for a 15-minute time period, saying if it's 7.5 minutes or less, we'll not pay, and if it's 7.5 or more, we'll pay for 15. This is for things like a call after someone's shift to address issues. Because of this court case, we are no longer allowed to not pay, so we can't have that split in there. Obviously, nobody's going to sue us if we pay more. And our CBA, our collective bargaining agreement, does allow for paying 15 for anything above 7.5 minutes up to 15. So this MOU basically clarifies that from the time of signature until we finalize our collective bargaining negotiations, that we will honor the court case and make sure we're paying for every minute that somebody does work. So from 1 to 7.5, we're going to pay. For 7.5 up to 15, we'll pay 15. And from every minute above that, we'll pay every minute. So it's kind of a compilation of making sure we're still covering what our collective bargaining agreement says, but also paying the additional amount now required because of the court case, but not setting anything in stone while we're still bargaining with the union. This helps us to avoid, hopefully, any interim lawsuits over not paying because of rounding. Any questions? Sorry, it's rather complicated, but we have reached agreement with the union on the MOU that is in front of you, and it's basically a stopgap to limit the city's liability during the time that we're bargaining.
All right, and, this is also acknowledging that the employees in all of our departments, represented and non-represented, the time is valuable, the work that they do is valuable, and it's not to say we're going to, pick a nit down to the minute. We've appreciated the broader nature of the collective bargaining agreement that we've enjoyed up until this point, and this was not because it was something that came up during the negotiations here, but was the result of something outside of our control.
Correct.
Any questions? Mr. Johnson, do we need to make a motion to suspend the rules to take up this matter?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Councilor Starr?
I move that the Keizer City Council suspend the rules to discuss Resolution R 2023.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council suspend the rules in order to take up the matter of Resolution R 2023 as we are discussing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously, one absent, that's Hussman. All right, let's put a motion on the table so we can discuss. Council President Starr.
I move that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2023 authorizing the city manager and chief of police to sign the Memorandum of Understanding Number 7 relating to the 2021 to 2023 collective bargaining agreement.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2023 authorizing the city manager and chief of police to sign Memorandum of Understanding Number 7 relating to 2021 to 2023 collective bargaining agreement. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with one absent, as has been. All right, thank you all for your work on this issue. Is there any other business to be brought before the council this evening? City manager?
That's all I have, Madam Mayor and Council.
Okay, any other business from the city councilor? All right, let's go on then to staff updates. Mr. Pina, anything else? Mr. Brown? Mr. Wood? Ms. Davis?
Nothing, thank you.
Chief? Mr. Lawyer? Mr. Witham?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Council member reports. Councilor Cross? Oh, you have a
I
question?
do have a question.
Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question had to do with the camera system and how that's coming along.
Good question.
Thank you, Councilor Kohler. And we had a meeting last Thursday. It was very productive. I was extremely pleased with all the legwork that the police department has done and our public works staff. It's a complicated project because for every location, we have to think about power and connectivity to get video back to here or to a control center. So I was pleasantly surprised at how much work the police department and the Public Works Department had done. So I'm really encouraged that we're getting closer. I think last steps just to see if there are cooperative purchasing agreements that we can purchase under, or if we need to go out for a bid on some or all of it. We do business currently with the vendor that we've preferred for the camera manufacturer, and they're the largest camera manufacturer in the world. And so I'm quite confident that there's a purchasing agreement, but then the installation of all those is at the various different sites is something that we'll likely have to bid out if we don't find many cooperative purchasing agreements for labor, so or trades. So if there happens to be, then I think we're looking at one recommendation that was thought to be a labor or a service provider or trade cooperative purchase agreement, but if not, we'll have to put together a bid package for the installation of those cameras, assuming that the product itself can be purchased under a cooperative purchasing agreement.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For a quick follow-up, how are we going to secure those so that we make sure they're not vandalized?
Yeah. You have to harden the wiring to it. And I learned that the hard way, and that's exactly what somebody did, is just cut off the. But the good thing is if they're sending video back in real time back to a server here, then you hopefully catch the person that does that. But we also need to harden the wiring to make it a little more difficult for them to cut through. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a good investment. It's sad that we all have to make that investment, but it's the reality. All right, council member reports. Councilor Cross?
Let's see, last week was great. Got to go to Union Gospel Mission. Thanks for Councilor Duran and Councilor Starr and Mayor Clark for joining. That was amazing. Leanne Tui was the speaker there, so that was fantastic, and just got over some bronchitis, so that's about it. I'm looking forward to feeling better.
Before we go too far, though, Friday night at Southeast Keizer.
Oh, yes. So, speaking of the community diversity, when I was listening to some of those notes from January, one of the public testimonies talked about Southeast Keizer Community Dinner. And I let Mayor Kathy know that I was like, oh, I really want to go to that. They spoke about that. That's a way to get engaged, and no one had ever gone there. So she met me there, and it was great to, go to a dinner that was not one that we had been to. We always go to the Wednesday dinner, so this was great to go to a Friday dinner, meet some great new people, and just get out there and just, you left there feeling good and knowing that you were building relationships. And I really feel like the relationships in Keizer, we build them one by one. Like it takes like one drop in the bucket, and that's how we fill the bucket. And that's who we are. That's who Keizer is.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Councilor Duran.
Well, everybody has talked about everything that I've done, so the Planning Commission, that was well covered. The Union Gospel Mission luncheon was great. We seem to have a lot of those that come up this time of year, and it's great to see people out there, and I see a lot of people writing checks, so it's encouraging. So I guess that's what I have on my take for right now.
Generous community for sure. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the 9th, attended the Latino Business Alliance, and that's always great. I remember when that very first started, and there were maybe 15 people in attendance, and this past meeting, it was standing room only, even after they brought out more tables and chairs. So it's fun to see that growing. And they're getting creative in supporting their members and their members' businesses with different business academies and programs to help build capacity within their businesses. So that was exciting to hear about. On the 15th, and then on the 9th, we started the Citizen Police Academy. Had that on the 15th as well, or somewhere, I don't know, Thursday. It's on Thursdays now, last week. On the 15th, I attended, they had a Marion County Health Department hosted here at City Hall, a program on recognizing drug trends, as well as with our youth, and that was from Tall Cop Says Stop. And yes, he is very tall, especially when I stand next to him. On the 16th, that was again the Citizens Police Academy, and then on Friday, the UGM Luncheon. So keeping busy.
Thank you very much. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Clyde Creek Watershed Council met on the 9th. We already talked about the April 22nd Earth Day. Excuse me, Earth Day and Soggy Day in the park. Keizer United met on the 13th. That was pretty informative. We had a presentation by the rec and what they do. Trying to make it they serve 10,000 mentoring hours in 2020, and their goal is to do 25,000 this year. Yeah, they're going to be putting on August 12th a music festival, so that will be kind of interesting. And we attended on the 14th in the morning greeters. The ladies from KSLM came and introduced themselves and what they do and what's going on with the radio station. Learned a lot about them. It was a great presentation. I attended the Parks Board that evening. We already talked about the $9,400 that's there in the picnic tables. And 15th, I had my strategic planning interview, and that was interesting. So I'm looking forward to our planning meeting next week. And then on the 15th, also attended the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments dinner in Newburgh, their awards banquet. That was pretty exciting, pretty informative. A lot of good things going on in the region. So that was, as always, that was a good, fun thing. On the 16th, I joined Mayor Clark with the Salem Leadership Council at the Salem Chamber of Commerce. It was quite an interesting discussion. We had on a lot of different subjects, but I felt it was an honor to be asked to come to that and participate in that. That was was a lot of fun. Coming up tomorrow is the Keizer Community Dinner, don't forget. And then March 11th, Civic Center cleanup. And I think that's it for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you so much for doing the Salem Leadership Panel with myself, Mayor Hoy of Salem, and Councilor Jose Gonzalez of Salem. The four of us got a chance to visit with emerging leaders, and it was slated for an hour and a half. I thought, okay, what are we going to talk about for an hour and a half? That time flew by, right?
It was pretty amazing. And then the questions that they asked, some of the questions were like, well, yeah, if you come to some of the meetings, you'd know kind of what we're doing, but it was interesting to watch Mayor Hoy and Mayor Clark handle the question like, well, what are we doing for the homeless? It was like, well, there was half hour right there, bam, just like that. But it was interesting to see the reaction, to see their willingness to engage, and hopefully we can do something like that again. It was a lot of fun.
Again, much appreciated. I hope so too. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I have been to neighborhood association meetings. I went to both the West Keizer Neighborhood Association and the Greater Gubser Neighborhood Association. Our Northeast Keizer one has been canceled for this month, but always look forward to those as well. And I'm just also really impressed with what they're doing online. So they sometimes have a hard time, getting people to show up, but there are good things happening online. And that is good to see that level of engagement there as well. The Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments annual meeting was mentioned, but I also just wanted to throw out there my admiration and appreciation for Mayor Clark's being involved in all of these regional organizations. She was on the planning committee for this, and but between this and League of Oregon Cities and the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance and the Salem Keizer
Everything.
Transportation.
Yeah, transportation at ATS, yes. Anyway, Mayor Clark just really makes Keizer an important part of all of these conversations. So I just wanted to say thank you, and that is just really inspiring, and we appreciate how well you represent Keizer in so many ways. So thank you. Strategic planning is coming up, as is mentioned. Both the individual, I think we've all been interviewed at this point, and so.
Just one.
Okay, well.
One left.
And we look forward to that rather epic meeting next Monday, so that will be fun. And thank you to Tracy for arranging dinner for us. So. And then the 40th birthday celebration planning is coming along. So right now we're in the phase of soliciting interested participants. So there is a link on the city website. It's keizer.org/40th birthday, right? Okay, Mr. Wood has put that together, and I tried to check it on, but the website's not working at the moment. But anyway, there's a Google form there to just, if you're interested in contributing to the celebration, we would love to have as many different organizations as engaged as possible. We are getting these out to the neighborhood associations. The Keizer Times has published a blurb in there as well. So getting the word out, share the word, and once we get the level of interest, then we'll start the scheduling process. So that's kind of next on the list. But looking for as much engagement in that as we can. Also, just prior to this meeting, I attended the Keizer Heritage Foundation meeting. And the Keizer Heritage Foundation just replaced all the ground floor windows, which has been a long time in coming. And thrilled to be able to have that project done. Still have more to do with the top story, but for now we're just thrilled. So that's great. Did have some plumbing issues, and if you try to get into City Hall, you can see that there was work being done there for quite some time, and that interestingly had to do with rat damage.
And just for the record, it was the Heritage Center, not City Hall.
Yes, yes, thank you. But yeah, so the Heritage Center, which the Heritage Foundation is the steward of, Thank you for helping me clarify that. And it's between, anyway, there was work being done in between that, and it was not a civic center issue, but it was a heritage center issue. And so, yes, we need to get those rats under control. But it is something that is, they were right on top of it, very responsive in terms of the contractors and the insurance companies and everybody. So that building is still being very well cared for, and we are on top of all of that.
And the library's back open again.
Library's back open, and so that is really exciting. And we are, the master plan is being finalized for the Keizer Heritage Foundation. So again, really good, really impressive stewardship happening, anticipating what is going to need to be replaced. Everything is sort of aging out at this point, and so we don't want to be in a situation where you have to pay for everything all at once. So the master plan will help with that prioritization. So
Excellent.
that is pretty much all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. It takes a lot of work to take care of a building that's turned 100 in 2016. All right. Youth Councilor Sarmiento.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This Saturday is the All City Honor Orchestra band concert. They're not in one, but they are at South. I believe they're happening at different times. And then next Thursday, there's an orchestra concert at McNary at 7. And the day before that is the band concert. There was a basketball game today from 5 to 7, I believe, JV and varsity boys. And then on March 10th, there is a blood drive at McNary. If you are 16, well, this is more for the students, but if you're 16, you can donate blood with the parents' permission, and 17, you can donate without. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. And there was also a musical that just happened, wasn't there? Which was wildly successful. So major kudos to everybody involved and all of the collaboration it took across so many different departments to make that happen. Well done. All right, just a couple things, and thank you very, very much. It is a lot of work, but it's so important for Keizer to be very much present in all regional discussions. And I started years ago when I joined City Council. It became very clear that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So I'd really prefer Keizer be at the table and helping draft the menu. That said, so the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance Board, thank you, Councilor Reed, for covering next week for the Executive Committee. We're working very hard on a number of things. We have, the ongoing work of the grants that are now in progress. We have our first year of data from the grants that were awarded a little over a year ago. The second year are just coming online. I keep reminding everybody that our Homeless Alliance, our continuum of care, is only 3 years old. We've only finished 1 full year of grants. Number 2 is in progress, and number 3 should be coming online pretty soon. That said, the Governor's Executive Order 2302 that is pouring resources into 3 very specific areas. We're working hard to make sure that the work that is being required under that executive order aligns appropriately with what we now know as best practices to serve people experiencing homelessness. So we have a letter that I have signed on behalf of the city talking about how we would like the metrics and also the use of those funds that make sure that they are appropriately investing in not just facility for sheltering, but also the very, very important wraparound services, sanitation, security, and support, not just for the short term, but for the long term. The people leaving homelessness need to make sure that they are supported all the way through their process. That's why we're called a continuum. So it's not just, step, jump, that doesn't work. So working with the consultants from the governor's team, we're trying to help direct this where it's going to be able to be long-term successful for the people who are going to be receiving services and leaving homelessness, not just for the short term, but for good. That's what we're about. So you're going to see some information coming out from that over the next several weeks as we work with what they're calling a strategic plan. We realize that what they're calling a strategic plan is actually just how to utilize this particular group of funds, It's not a overall strategic plan. We have one already because every continuum of care is required to have one. It has to be turned into federal HUD, Housing and Urban Development. So we're trying to bring these together. The work is important because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that what we're providing for people is effective, long-term, and truly ends homelessness, one person, one family, one neighborhood at a time. So that's going to be ongoing, and it's a pretty heavy lift. Speaking of housing and so forth, it was my pleasure to join the Mid-Valley Realtors in their annual mayor's panel with Mayor Hoy of Salem, Mayor Horning of Turner, Mayor Johnson of Albany, and Mayor Woods of Dallas. So that's a fun group of people anyway, and just to hear what's happening in different communities and providing housing, especially affordable housing, and opportunity for expanding for providing housing within our regions. This whole thing about having housing production strategy, I'm looking at Mr. Witham because, Keizer has, like 2 seconds worth of land. So when I hear about all this annexation happening in Albany, I'm like, not fair. Okay, so keep a hold of watching that. I'll keep you up to date on what's happening with housing and associated items there. There is a bill that we're tracking. The League of Oregon Cities is working with statewide planners on draft legislation having to do with the housing production strategy. That's going to impact us because, again, we have 2 seconds worth of land. So if we're supposed to have a housing production strategy, you have to have a place to put the housing. Right? So maybe there's more of those ADUs over garages. We're going to go up. I'd like to invite people to watch the latest edition of Coffee with Kathy. We had a great conversation with Ramiro Navarro of the Chariots Board, Betty Hart of the Keizer Fire Board, and Pastor Jose Dominguez of La Luz de Valle Church. Bob Salazar from the school board wasn't able to join us. They have been working very, very hard on the whole interview process for the new superintendent, and they have made sure that they are being very thorough in the interview and selection process, and I really appreciate Bob Salazar being willing to represent Keizer in that process. Just before council this evening, it was my pleasure to join the Marion Polk Medical Society, who is having their annual dinner right here in our building. The Marion Polk Medical Society provides training, support, and all sorts of opportunity for medical providers in our community to collaborate, innovate, and support one another. And I really enjoyed visiting with them as they chose to have their annual meeting right here. Coming up, there's going to be a Department of Land Conservation and Development presentation on walkable communities. It's a Zoom meeting. Tune in. It should be interesting. Tuesday, the 28th, that's this coming Thursday, isn't it? A couple of days from now. Anybody else want to recount of February? 31 days of work in 28 days. That's special. So that's on Thursday. Next Tuesday, while Councilor Reed is covering the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance Executive, I'll be on the committee for the Salem-Keizer Area Transportation Study, again, working on the work about the federal grants for transportation. Some save the dates. We have the State of the County on the 8th of March. The Homeless Alliance Board will be on the 9th. I'm missing something there. The neighborhood associations for your preview of the State of the City conversation. The 10th of March is the National Association of Women in Construction International Women's Day. And I think you have replied, so fantastic. It was a good time. We have we won last year, so we have to defend our title. That's right. I'll explain later. Civic Center cleanup on the 11th, as you heard, and the State of the City address will be on the 14th. So that's what I've got for council member reports. Agenda input. Next Monday on the 27th at 4 p.m., we will begin work on our strategic planning. That's a work session. March 6th, 7 p.m., we will meet in regular session. March 13th, the Long Range Planning Task Force will meet, and that's at 6 p.m. And in case any of you are wondering, that's all y'all. plus the community members who are on the budget committee. But we don't call the budget committee because it's not allowed, so that's why it's the task force. And then at 7 PM on March 20th, we will meet in regular session. We have scheduled an additional work session for March 27th at 6 PM. And that's for our safety training. Question is going to be on our goal setting work session, because that's supposed to be adopted by the end of April. And I think that's going to be a little bit separate from the strategic planning, which was not likely to be done by the end of April, unless I'm reading it wrong. I'm looking at the city manager. Okay, so we're going to have to schedule a time to do our general goal setting, the 2-year goal setting that's required under our city charter. Is it charter or rules? Rules. To be adopted by the end of April. So we're going to have to find some time, so Tracy's going to help us find that time. Right, Ms. Davis? Yeah. She's like, yeah, that's going to be fun. So when she emails you, answer quickly. Yes.
We will discuss the date, but I was going to have you consider April 10th.
Okay, so we'll have to
It'll be the second
reschedule.
Monday.
We know that we have personnel policy scheduled for that, so we're going to have to move that off of that date and look at another date for that. And I think we had talked about putting personnel policy on the 10th because of the Seaside League of Oregon Cities Conference. But that doesn't start till 8:30 on Tuesday morning, so driving over.
I'm gonna be out of town.
You're going to be out of town? Okay, it is, no, it's not spring break. Anyway, y'all figure out some options and send them to us. We aren't going to figure it out right now. Looking at everybody's calendars, we would be here the rest of the night.
5 a.m. is always a great time.
It is never a great time.
A morning person, I have never been. Ask my mother. All right, that's all I have. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Councilor Kohler.
Yes, just an interesting date in history. Today's date, in 1885, the Washington Monument was dedicated.
All right. So go look up the beautiful pictures of that, or remember the time that you got a chance to visit it. Chief?
Can I add to that?
Be my guest, sir.
At that time, aluminum was a precious metal, and the man who placed that precious metal was from Oregon. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Appreciate both of you sharing that. That is a great note to end on. The time is 8:29. We are adjourned.